Show number 6.
This Otaku's Life.
For years, I ran this online file server. There was a teenager in Australia who created his own computer language and compiler, and from that he created this mini private AOL. And this wasn't the first case of this type of software existing, and he called it Hotline. So in order to run one of these servers, you had to reach out to this individual and justify what type of Hotline file server you were going to run. And I thought about it, and of course what I wanted was a Japanese culture and anime file server. So I told him what I was going to do, and he was interested, and he sent me the software. And I did this for several years before the turn of the century. And it had a BBS area, and it had chat, and of course it had a file area. And on there I had friends who were fan subbers, so I had fan sub scripts. I had images, I had an area for music videos. So as people were pulling down things, their way of giving back was to give me music videos, anime, and Japanese live action music videos. Well, this intrigued me. I was interested. I had to know more about the artists, and I discovered them. And eventually, I started importing things from Japan. And this was the beginning of my love for Japanese music. Eventually, a friend of mine started to get exposed to this as well. And he was a fan subber. So of course, what he wanted to do was translate and start subtitling these music videos. So we started doing this together. And we would go through a selection process and pick all kinds of artists, and we started basically subtitling these things for ourselves. And eventually, we offered to one large convention our programming content. And they thought this was an amazing idea. This was new and interesting, and it was absolutely relevant to their mission statement. And that year, they gave us an 800-seat room, and we filled it up to the wall. And the next year after that, they gave us a small airplane hangar-sized room, and thousands of people showed up. And this was amazing, and was my way of contributing to an otaku community. I always had friends who were fan subbers, but I was never really someone who did anything actively in terms of the subtitling. And so, of course, I was happy that finally I was doing something as well. I wasn't subtitling anime, but I was subtitling something different, something new. I remember the first year that we presented our programming content. I started a new job, and one of my bosses, his kids were interested in going to this convention, and he attended that first presentation, his son and my boss. And it was amazing how that didn't really faze him at all. He thought it was interesting, and certainly I didn't get ragged on or hear anything about it at work. But getting back to the presentation, it was just amazing to see what people would laugh at, and they would sing along. And I remember one year, there was a song that had a lot of dancing in it, and the video rooms were so big, they had huge aisles. And a group of people got up and started dancing along with this video, and it was amazing. I also remember one year there was a very popular music artist performing that year, and there were probably 20 or 30 Sony executives who came and watched this presentation, and they saw the crowd reaction. They were just excited, and I was happy that they enjoyed themselves, and they enjoyed themselves with the crowd. It was an amazing experience, but it was also a costly one. If it wasn't for that file server, I would have never had the opportunity to see this content, broaden my horizon in the world of music. And I was happy that we could provide programming content to a large convention where thousands of people could also have that same experience. And that was it. Thank you everyone for listening this week and continuing to download. That's amazing. I'm loving it. If you're interested in contributing, we got a couple ways you can do that. First, we'd love for you to make a show ID. And all we would ask you to do is say this, Otaku's Life, with pauses in between. And we love feedback. We love to read your words, but we want to hear your voice. If you're capable of recording, we would like to hear your side of a story we've already covered here. And we always welcome new ideas, topics in which you might want to hear our perspective or our stories. So you can reach out to us by email at thisotakuslife@gmail.com. You can check out our website, thisotakuslife.com, and we'd love to hear from you. So until then, have a good one.